we're back.
We need a clapboard
I know, right?
so I know where to edit. Okay, so I'm a people watcher.
Mhm.
I love watching people. And certain themes have been showing themselves lately. And I have noticed a lot of trouble has been created in relationships, myself extremely included,
Mhm,
by
me too.
people making assumptions.
Yep.
And making decisions based on those assumptions.
Mhm.
Because I could say, oh, I'm not going to tell so-and-so about my awakening because I know what they're going to say. I know how this is going to go. I know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
But really, you don't know.
No.
Because my daughters, I thought it would be opposite. I thought the one would be the one that was pissed off and the other one would be like totally cool with it.
Yeah.
So even with people I know so well, my assumption was wrong.
Yeah.
And so we have to talk to them because we don't know.
Yeah.
I've been very surprised
Yeah.
because some people I thought were down are not. And some people I thought,
Yeah.
no way, we're so down.
Mhm. And I've had that like with readings before.
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to say I'm a reader, but they're not going to want a reading. And they jump on like right now. Oh, really? Let's go. I want a reading.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I wonder, like, isn't that just like, well, I guess it's depending on what the assumption is, though. If it's a negative assumption, which to me is usually the case, like, I'm not going to do that because.
I mean, yeah, we deal with that a lot because so many of us come from trauma, and a lot of us are people pleasers and empaths, and so yeah, there are a lot of negative assumptions.
Mhm.
But there's positive ones too, because how many times have you seen the guy or girl? It's like, oh yeah, they're into me. And it's like, you are so out of touch. Like, they don't like you at all. You know, so there's positive ones too.
Right.
But
I think for me,
a false assumption is a dangerous thing, whether it's positive or negative.
Well,
because it's not the truth.
Assume is spelled like ass, you, me.
Yeah, you make an ass out of you and me.
But yeah, but it, like, how do you get out of that habit though? Because I am a big, huge, like, I'm already overthinking what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Well, it's
like,
really hard to, because our brains, just the way it functions, you see something, it goes through the catalog, and it brings up the next closest thing.
mm-hmm.
So it matches it, good or bad, it matches it with that next closest thing.
Yeah.
Now we can go with that,
Mm-hmm.
or we can actively, try to stop that. It's like, no, I'm not going to have expectations. I'm not going to have assumptions. The best way to not have assumptions is to communicate.
Communicate, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to, I feel like you might not be cool with this, but I don't know. What do you think? Like, talk to them and find out from them.
Yeah. That's the best avenue to take.
Yeah, communication is always.
And actually, coming from a more healed standpoint, that's usually the option that comes up. It's like, if I'm not going to assume that, because that's gotten me no place in the past.
Right.
So yeah, and then when you, it's like I grew up with, I didn't want to confront anything.
Mm-mm.
And if you ask me, like, instead of assuming, I'm going to ask you a question, that's kind of confrontational. Even if it's like, should I come over at noon today? Mm-hmm. That's confrontational.
Well, then we already had that plan. Were you not listening to me when I made? Yeah, I get it.
Because you never know when that reaction is going to come.
Right.
So it's a learned behavior,
mm-hmm.
but in getting through, the healing and doing the healing, it's like, I don't have any reason not to ask that question other than okay, if I ask that question, am I going to get this answer, that answer? What do you think it's going to be? Like the 50 other questions you're asking instead of simply just asking the question and getting an answer.
Right.
Most likely.
Well, because one of the most wonderful things that comes with the awakening and the healing is your feeling of personal safety.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what response I get, barring, abuse or whatever, I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be devastated if they say no or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Like, and that, because a lot of us have a hard time asking, a hard time speaking.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's still, like, I still have trouble with that. Like, saying if I'm going to come over at noon, I'm like, should I come over at noon? Is noon okay? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm catching myself a lot more, and I do it a lot less than I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just maddening.
It
Like,
is.
I don't understand how I managed to do it for so long.
Well, and have you noticed too that when you try, I'd rather text than talk on the phone. Because, man, no.
Yeah.
But text communication is already difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're overthinking everything you say, by the time you send something, the other person's reading it, looking at it like, what the hell? Like, you don't understand it, because I've censored it so many times in my head. I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't translate.
The other person, right.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Nikki the other day about that. Like, texting is terrible. Which, and I do a lot less texting now, because if I know I'm going to see you, then I'm just going to talk to you when I see you.
Yeah.
And, like, texting is, hey, I'll be there, I'm on my way, or see you at 12 or whatever. Not, like, it's too much to text, and my eyes are getting worse, and my arms are getting shorter. So
Yeah.
I would just rather talk to you in person.
And we assume a lot. Because
Yes.
when I read the text from the happy daughter, it was like, oh, I could hear her voice in my head, right?
Yeah.
And when I get the text from the upset daughter, I can just hear it, and I'm like, this bitch, so
Right.
texting allows a lot of assumption too, because there's no tone.
Yeah.
So we put the tone into it.
Well, yeah, because what if she was sitting there bawling when she was doing the texting?
Right.
You know what
See,
I mean?
I didn't
You
even
never
think about
know.
that. I'm like,
Yeah.
this bitch.
Right.
Even though we've already talked about. Right.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But,
Yeah.
okay, let's don't assume.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so I took the note. No relationship and nothing will be the same as it used to be.
Right.
Because you are becoming a completely different person.
Yep.
So everything is going to be different. Relationships, situations, jobs, like everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can't expect other people to be on board.
True.
Because I do it with this religion thing. Because the particular religion I grew up in is a very forceful, knock on the door, stick your foot in the door if they try to close it, kind of force yourself in type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always make the announcement, like, you don't want me to force my beliefs on you. I don't want you to force yours on me.
Right.
And so rather than it being this head, I don't know how I got off on this. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yes, you do.
Where am I going?
What is that?
Things are going to be different.
Yeah, you're a different person. You're changing and you're evolving.
Oh, you can't expect people to be on board.
Exactly.
It's just like, I'm not going to try to shove my beliefs down your throat.
Yeah.
So don't find out that I'm not a witch. I don't know what the hell I am.
You're spiritual.
But when you find out my belief system, don't instantly think, oh, she needs to be saved.
Right.
Or
Respect.
else I'm going to start smudging you and you know.
Chasing you off with my...
Right, rub my crystals on you and, you know.
Right, give you back what you've given me and not...
Oh, you don't want me to do that.
Crossing those boundaries.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
you know, hey, respect me like I respect you. And the thing is, you know, even though you're on your spiritual awakening path and being enlightened and love and light, if you're going to stick your foot in my door, then expect to pull back a bloody stump, because you're crossing boundaries. That's disrespectful that you try to enter my home, or you know, if I say no thank you, that should be enough.
Right. And it's unrealistic of us to expect people to be on board with us.
Yeah.
And expect people to agree with or support our decisions.
Yeah. I mean, people ask me questions. They see something I have, or, you know, like sometimes I put little tattoos on or whatever of runes, and they're like, hey, what's that? And then I tell them, and then I drop it. If they want to know, they'll ask me more, and a lot of times they do, which is nice because I like to converse about spirituality. But yeah, if they don't, then we talk about the roses, or, you know, that
whatever.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss Lowe's, by the way. I'm not watering plants anymore.
I'm telling you, they're going to come into work one day. You're going to have your vest. They'll be like, this strange woman is in here watering the plants. Like, how do we get rid of her?
Or I could be watering for a half an hour and Julian be like, hey, what are you doing? We'll see. I do love watering the flowers.
Right. We talked about the toxic positivity.
Mm-hmm.
What about the fact that oh my God, you used to be so much fun. We would party and hang, go shopping. Like, now you're just boring.
Yeah.
You're boring now. Since you're awakening, you're so boring.
Or how many times a day do you think you need to meditate?
Right.
But the thing about it is, and that's where they don't get the understanding, because all of the things that I do daily in my spirituality are now a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how I can stay focused, or it's just like, you know, studying for finals.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's not a good...
No, I get it.
But
I can see it.
I mean, it's part of your life, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just like taking a shower every day. You know,
you're supposed to do that every day.
Well, I don't. But anyways, but yeah, like, so you just have different lifestyles.
Mm-hmm. 1 and 2, going through the awakening, you're open to a lot more, and energies affect you differently. And so someone who's used to going out and doing a lot of stuff, I loathe shopping. You know, I don't want to say the name. There's one store, I really try not to go there, but there's one product that it's my product, and that's the only place I can get it.
Yep.
I start feeling bad, and my pain is worse before I even get out of my car to go into that store.
Yeah.
The energy in that store is so gross.
That's the thing. Like, that's what people that aren't going through this, or they don't realize that now that we're energetic beings, we can get zapped if we're not protecting ourselves. But even when you do protect yourself, sometimes it just doesn't.
It takes it out of you.
Yeah. And so, the meditation is kind of like taking a nap.
Yeah.
You fill your cup back up so that you can continue on.
Right. But your friends that are used to maybe doing stuff with you, and you're just like, not today, guys. Like,
God,
they miss that part of you. Like, you
Yeah.
used to be fun. We used to
Yeah.
do stuff. I
Yeah.
just can't do those things anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really when you find out who your good time friends are. And those, thankfully, tend to fall away.
Yeah. Naturally.
And
Looking at
quietly.
nature. Yeah, it's not not some big dramatic breakup. And like I've talked to my daughter about it too. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't like those people. It just means that you have different
priorities.
I think I don't want to say priorities, because I mean that means that they are less of a priority.
Well,
but kind of like,
I see what you're saying.
in with your, in with your mix or your practices, or how do you your day to day?
Well, okay, so that energy, a lot of those people are the extroverted. They need to be around other people that's how they energize. And that, yeah. So that's what they do to feel validated and energized.
Yeah.
This is what we do, because let's face it, we weren't always comfortable going out and doing all of this stuff with them. We just did it because that's how we got to be with them.
Right.
And so I respect that's how you do you.
Absolutely.
But all I'm asking is that you respect that this is how I do me.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that we're never going to be friends again.
Right.
Or as those people do fall away, you see them 6 months down the road, you see them at the store and you're like, hey, it's like home week or whatever. But then you know that the next day it's probably not going to, because they don't play an X video game or whatever. And you do play X video game. So you just don't, you know what I mean?
You don't play Destiny?
No.
We can't be friends.
Exactly.
We cannot be friends.
Or
right.
All right, I'm going to spend the next 2 hours doing this. I'll call you back later. Okay, well, the next 2 hours I'm going to be spending doing this. And then, we'll meet up later or whatever.
Right.
But, again, those are...
And you notice those where you have less and less to talk about. Yeah. So those are the kind of relationships that just fade away.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we're gonna do this. Boundaries.
Yeah. Let's talk about boundaries.
Now, I'm gonna say something that's controversial.
We're gonna call you our controversial coach. Self-discovery.
I set a boundary. Me and you. I set a boundary.
Yep.
Whose responsibility is it to maintain that boundary?
Mm-hmm.
It's mine.
Yes.
It's not yours.
Right.
And people use boundary just like it's a hard, fast, that's a no.
Right.
But boundaries, like everything else, have gradients, right? So I have a soft boundary. I would really rather you not. I just don't prefer that. Right. So if you could not, it's annoying. So that's soft boundary.
Yeah.
Kind of a firm boundary. Girl, I've got misophonia. If you eat with your mouth open,
we're done.
If I can, we're gonna have a serious talking. Like, we're not done. Like,
oh no.
I can hopefully convince you to shut your lips. I used to tell my nephew, close your mouth when you chew. Mm-hmm. He says, but I can't chew. So I have to say, close your lips. Anyway.
Yep.
But then there are the deal breaker boundaries.
Right.
And it's not, don't do drugs. Like, I'm not down. I don't want to be around people like that and drinkers, because raised by an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I don't like being around drinkers. So realistically, I know you drink. I can't say don't drink.
Right.
I can say I would really rather you not drink around me. Mm-hmm. But then I'm not going to make sure I'm with you 24/7.
Right. But there's a sense of mutual respect in that,
right.
That matter.
Because here's what I've noticed too. A lot of people use boundaries, here I go again, to manipulate.
Yes.
This is my boundary. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to respect my boundary. Yeah. Well, no, Karen, they don't.
Right.
All you're trying to do is control and manipulate the people and the situations around. That's not a boundary.
No. That's
you're
just
a
manipulation.
Bitch. Yeah, you're manipulating the situation.
Yeah. And
then, like, maybe you could help me, because you said it way clearer than I did, and it was my thought.
Uh-huh.
Some deal breaker boundaries aren't boundaries, they're expectations. Mm-hmm. My boundary, if we get in a relationship, don't abuse me.
Yeah.
Is that a boundary or is that an expectation? I expect the partner I get with is not abusive.
Right. But if for some reason it happens, it's a deal breaker.
Right.
Like to me, because anytime I enter any kind of situation or whatever, it's like, if you lay hands on me, it's done. Like,
right.
That's it.
Okay, so here's where we get to your responsibility or my responsibility to uphold that boundary.
Right.
Now, I could say, you just broke my nose, husband. Now you have to suffer the consequences for that. So you're on punishment or no sex or whatever.
Right.
That's not going to do anything.
No.
It's going to make him want to do it again.
Yeah.
The way I uphold my boundary is, I told you that was a no. Now I'm out ski.
Yep.
Like, I'm gone.
Absolutely.
It's my job to protect myself, to uphold my boundary.
Yeah. Because and that's coming from a healthy standpoint, because no one should ever lay hands on you. But just
Right.
like and what I said earlier is, I don't share. Like,
Right.
if you're gonna have a wandering eye, or you're gonna even it doesn't even have to be physical. If you're gonna be engaging with another woman, you got no business being with me.
Right.
Because I am, like, you should be enamored with me that you don't even want to look at other women.
Well, and that's a discussion we have before we even get in a relationship.
Exactly.
Like, what type of relationship are you looking
I'm
for?
sorry, I don't share.
And so that's where I get kind of frustrated, because people are using boundary.
Yeah.
That's not a boundary. That's an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, as you're going through your awakening and kind of getting away from not your people,
Yeah.
you're getting more toward your people.
Right, where that isn't even, that becomes...
It's not an issue.
Yeah, there's
Right.
never a question of, because, like, I don't drink. I'm not going to date someone who drinks, but I'm not going to go bar hopping either, because guess
You don't
what
wanna
I'm going to
find
find when I'm there.
Right.
So if I don't want to drink and I want to be around my like people, I find things to do that are like me.
Right. And then the context of how people react to us. I'm fixing to have nausea real bad. Where the boundaries fit in place. Like, just because we believe differently doesn't mean this is a hard boundary. Never ever talk to me negatively about what I believe in. I'd really rather you didn't. But let the boundary be a mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
I won't try to push my stuff on you. You don't try to push your stuff on me. That's our boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And we can still have a healthy relationship going forward from there. I heard a phrase, don't remove, relocate.
Oh,
Not everybody in your life that you kind of butt heads with or whatever,
right,
you don't have to remove everybody.
right.
A lot of people do. I'm done with you. Girl, I'm the queen of cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say you can't relocate that relationship? Like, we used to be super close, but because of this boundary that we can't seem to, I can't stop myself from my zeal and talking to you about my stuff, or you can't stop yourself from preaching Jesus. You're dead to me. You could just be relocated from close friend to acquaintance, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of like the way I look at it, when it takes a natural, no hard feelings, but we're not going to talk about this.
right,
We can talk about something else, but as like things come around, I'm going to go meditate for 2 hours. Okay, well, I'll go play the video games and we'll catch up later.
yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
Well, maybe we're not gonna have those 2-hour phone calls,
Yeah.
Every Thursday, every week,
Yeah. Yeah. And things happen. People get busy, and I mean, life happens, and that's the other thing. If I don't talk to people for a while, I don't take it personal because life is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Every day something new is transpiring, especially in the spirit realm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But what I love about it, and a lot of times it's the people you don't expect, assumptions, is when you tell people about your awakening and you kind of get a cold response. So it's like, okay, we'll back off a little while. Some of them tend to start watching you closer and paying attention to how you move and what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And they can see, like, and I've seen it in other people, it's like, oh, they got in a fight or somebody's going to come at them for something. But then you see how differently they react. And it's like, oh, maybe there is something to this spiritual thing, because she would have ripped his face off a year ago.
Exactly.
She is growing and healing. I wonder what this is all about.
Yeah.
Like, maybe let me do a little looking, because I'd like to not get triggered so bad. So it kind of helps by not doing the hard, if you don't believe me, you're dead to me thing.
Yeah.
That it allows you to, and I'm not saying we're super special or anything, but to be an example.
Well, yeah, we are super special though, because we were chosen to lead, you know, to tell our stories,
Right.
to help people to understand what they are most likely going through.
Right. But yeah, I just mean we're not better than anybody.
No.
Like, look at me. I'm the example of what, that's not what I'm saying.
The epiphany of Christian or spirituality.
Yeah.
Not that, because actually that's more of a learned, what is it, organized religious belief.
Yeah.
That I'm better than somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does keep the door open for people to learn. Because I don't care what my belief system is. If I see somebody reacting in a more healthy way than they used to, and that's all it, like, oh, they didn't shut down, they spoke their mind. Oh, what happened? How'd they get the courage? I wish I had that courage. Oh, I wonder what they're doing. It opens the door for more learning.
Right. And then on the other hand, you can say, wow, you know, I've seen you react before, and the way you reacted this time, kudos to you. I'm so proud of you, because whatever you're doing, keep doing, because it's working.
Yeah.
And so giving them that positive reassurance.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what that looks like when you have people that support you.
Right.
They notice and recognize. And that, you know, we've talked about that before too, because we don't always see our own progress.
Right.
So it's nice to have that. But it's all just comes down to the mindset.
Yeah.
Changing your perspective and having a more positive mindset.
And grace and compassion.
Grace.
But not toxic positivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay.
I rambled a lot.
We talked a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we wrapping it up? Ooh, we're almost at an hour.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I did talk a lot.
Well, but it was good stuff. We talked about good stuff, though.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah. So, now we'll see you next week at 6
Whenever.
We'll see you on Wednesday. But, yeah, we'd like to get the 50 followers so we can go live.
Absolutely. Maybe y'all could shut me up and get a word in edgewise.
Wonderful topics.
Yeah.
Wonderful conversations.
Absolutely. So, yeah,
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. We'll see you next time, folks. Take care.